Welcome to FEDSched's first GSA Refresh recap. Today we're covering Refresh 32 of the GSA Multiple Award Schedule, which was released in June. While this is our first recap video, you can find a summary of every refresh issued under the current solicitation on our website, www.FEDSched.com. Today we have Melody Giangreco joining us. Melody's a contracts director here at FEDSched, and she's been helping contractors navigate changes at GSA for over 28 years.
Thank you, Heather, and appreciate everyone watching today. This is going to be a high overview of the changes in Refresh 32. We can't get into every specific detail, but we're going to cover three very significant changes that have impacted most of the companies that we work with and most of you, I would assume. Today, Refresh 32, high impact overview. So the first change, of course, was related to DEI policies and practices. DEI is a hot topic. It's evolved through the years here and what it includes. Under FAR 52 222-90, specifically the way the clause is written today is this is surrounding and related solely to your government business performed in the United States. First of all, so if you have work outside the United States, it's federal work, U.S. federal work, but you're performing in Europe or Asia or anything like that, the clause is not applicable. And further, DEI encompasses a lot of social groups. This clause specifically is related to race and ethnicity. So there are non-compliance in risk, termination, ineligibility for future contract awards, and then the big one is, of course, potential for false claims. Well, what does it include? I already mentioned that it's connection only in work for from U.S. federal government work. And again, further work in the United States. It specifically is related and uses the terms race and ethnicity. So all those other social groups are not identified in the change here. So it becomes irrelevant, but it does impact your recruiting, your hiring, subcontractors. You can't apply DEI policies or practices with relating to race or ethnicity when making those choices. There's also italicized on this page a program participation. And again, you can see this is in quotes. So this is exactly as it was published. There is a broad definition of program participation, and there is a significant industry comment on that. But you have to read this first of all. You have to read it. See if it even impacts you in any way, shape, or form. If there's a question of its impact in your company, policy and practices as it's related to your government contract, the best thing to do is to seek counsel. And yes, counsel is going to cost maybe some extra money, but the ramifications of your non-compliance with this clause as it is written today is going to be potentially far greater financially. So it would be worth the investment to get the proper counsel. While I've been doing this 28 plus years and I've seen a lot of things change, I can't give everybody that legal advice they may be seeking on this subject. So it's important that you speak with the experts that can give you. Maybe there needs to be some separation of business practices. It's important you understand what it says. Important that the takeaway for you today is look at your policies and practices. Are you employing DEI practices under government contracts when it comes to hiring or your program participation or subcontract choices? And again, it might be relevant then for you to look at some counsel on it, additional counsel. There's another gray area here where your responsibilities. Well, you got to open up your records. Now, this has always been a bone of contention for contractors in the federal space. Normally, when GSA or the government says open your records, they really only are wanting to see documentation records relevant to the issue at hand, whether it be DEI or anything else. The way it's written, and again, I look at what's written, right? It's open, could potentially say open your records to everything. I guess that's not the spirit of it, but because it's not written otherwise, open your records specifically related to the issue at hand. That part's kind of missing. This becomes a big issue for many contractors, but you are required to, this is how it's written, open your records, again, to verify your compliance with the clause. Does that mean they can look at other stuff? The way it's written, it's potential. This clause has to flow down. It has to flow down to not only your first tier subs, but that second and third, and you are responsible for the compliancy of those entities as your subs, just like you're responsible for their services or products that they provide as a sub. You're responsible for their compliance, and they have to confirm their adherence to it. If they're not compliant, it is, your responsibility to report that. If you're challenged on the validity of the clause by a subcontractor, you got to report it to your CO. And the big piece here is your compliance under this new clause, the way it's written, is material to getting paid. And that's where it brings in some potential for false claims. It takes a lot for false claims to be issued against a contractor, and a lot of legalities to it. I can't stress enough for you to ensure, especially if you're a big government involved entity, that there is either a separation of DEI practices from your government work, or there is a clear and concise policy and practice that does not employ DEI policies with race and ethnicity on your federal contracts. So again, a lot to unravel with this one, everybody, and it's not very clean. And when is it ever? But there's always room for evaluation, further evaluation, and further scrutiny. I don't think the clause is going anywhere in the future. It may be more refined, but it was from the executive overview, and now it's implemented into this contract. And this extends beyond just your GSA MAS contract. This clause is going to be incorporated in all your other government contracts as well.
And one last thing before we move on is this clause was created to implement an executive order that was issued in March, and that executive order and its implementation, which includes this FAR clause, are currently under legal challenges as of this recording. So just a note, the clause is still enforceable as of right now, but that could change based upon the status of those legal challenges. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and thanks, Heather. And that just goes back to what I had just said. Maybe I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It may be further refined, but the legal challenges and anything related to DEI as far as legal challenges is ongoing. So we'll update you guys accordingly. And as we learn new things with respect to any determinations from those challenges, we'll try to put it out there to everybody as well. We're delivering the data to you, though, as it is written today. And this clause is very enforceable as it is currently written. So the next part I want to cover is end of support. We're living in a day and age where technology evolves by the minute almost. I blink and that piece of technology is irrelevant in the world today. And it's not just technology, but it is your requirement, not just a normative business obligation. It's a requirement now to have an end of support life cycle. Let's think about perhaps looking at your current warranty on products. The products change. We do end and we sunset items, and then we add the newer items that have more technological advances, perhaps more functional enhancements. But we can't be expected to support a product that we have stopped manufacturing 5 years ago. The support on that product has to eventually conclude. But it is now your requirement, one, to have an end of support practice. So it should be maybe written into warranties. Again, I can't tell you how to have this incorporated into your business information, but it should be somewhere. Or maybe it's just an independent document. If you have software technologies, which software clearly changes daily and very routinely, we have license agreements, and maybe that end of support on that technology is written into that. But there's options. But it is your obligation to ensure that there is some sort of transitional state of that item once it is sunset or eliminated from manufacturing or development. It is your obligation to notify your customers of what that cycle is going to look like. And at the end of the support, what are your customers' choices? Do they automatically get upgraded to the current version of that item at your cost? Or is there sorry, you're cut off, this is it? You got to look at what the customer's requirements are, how long they've been a customer. This seems logical, though, that we incorporate some sort of business practices on end of support, because we can't keep supporting items that are clearly no longer provided commercially or even available for purchase anymore. but it can't be cut off like in a day. There has to be a life cycle to it. So it would be prudent to examine, look at what you have. And the key to anything is communicating what the policy is to your customers and let them know this is what's going to happen. You can continue, we'll support this product as long as it exists. Once it goes end of life, you'll be notified. Once it goes end of life, we will support you for 3 years. And beyond the 3 years, these are the choices and options we'll have. This third topic is really kind of personal because it has impacted a significant number of my clients. And I'm kind of bummed. So we've always been able to use predecessor company and individual personnel past performance to provide as a part of a technical narrative to support a bidding entity's past performance requirements. Well, I was so excited in Refresh 32. They added, not only am I allowed to use predecessor and key personnel past performance, but we can use affiliate past performance. And this is really impactful, particularly to a lot of the ANCs that we do business with, because affiliate and affiliate past performance, these ANC entities are very intertwined. There's a lot of shared relationship, shared office resources, personnel, etc. But then you read the next line, and this permission now is only allowed under springboard offers. That's a big takeaway on number 3. The grants management SIN was added. This was added under the information technology category. Remember, the MAS program has 12 large categories, and grants management for the 518-210 GM is specifically related, though, to the technology and cloud-related tools for grants management. Grants management as a service is still under SIN 541611 under the professional services, but this new SIN was added under IT because it focuses on the tools and the technology around quality service grant management, QSMO, or I think it's QSMO is how we say it. This was in response to GSA. Whenever they add a SIN, by the way, it's normally in response to an agency's need or requirement for no reason whatsoever. It's usually in response to an agency's direct request. In this case, this was clearly HHS is looking for tools and technology as it is related to grants management. The grants management services aspect, though, is still under 541611 under professional services.
One more note. The HHS Grants QSMO office has a marketplace where they list vendors that are available to help agencies modernize and streamline their grants management services. And now, if you want to get on that marketplace, you need to obtain the grants management SIN.
Okay, well, good to know. So they would not be visible on the marketplace without having this SIN on their GSA schedule. Is that a fair sentence, Heather?
Yes, as of moving forward since the introduction of the SIN, yes, that's correct.
I'm sure we'll see a lot of questions on this one then if there's some qualifications or tools related to grants management. A couple of these SINs were retired. GSA retires SINs when there's lack of performance or the SINs or there's things that are out of scope. They did non-perishable foods were retired out in Refresh 32, which was a 311-423. They're considered now out of scope. It doesn't mean, again, you can't sell non-perishable foods. I was working with a company at one point that was like the powders for energy drinks, right? And that's a non-perishable item, but we can't put it on GSA schedule anymore because I was just talking to them. We didn't get them a schedule, but it was a bummer that we couldn't move forward with them because it seems like a very logical thing to offer. They had a lot of business on the DOW front with all our military personnel. And it is a logical purchase, especially when they're in the field, kind of like with their MREs. But non-perishable foods, gone from the GSA schedule. It was an underutilized category. It's now considered out of scope. There were changes to specific SINs here. Again, I can't really get into everything that was specifically changed as what they changed in each one. But if you are involved or you would be classified within any of these SINs as far as your core capabilities, you will want to review the changes that we put out there to see how those changes are going to impact either your offer or perhaps a business policy or a practice around it. And if this becomes something that changes your ability to pursue GSA. Heather, anything to add on this one?
Yes, if you're watching on YouTube, we have a link in the description to our full post on Refresh 32, and that details these changes to these SINs. For the most part, they're minor changes to the description or an associated template, but you can view them on our Refresh 32 post. Or go to our website, www.FEDSched.com, search for Refresh 32.
But you have got to check out our website directly because we have so much valuable information for everybody out there. We've been around a really long time. You can see up there, we've been around 40 plus years. I've been here 28 years. The longevity of our personnel speaks volumes when it comes to how much we really believe in the quality of our services here. If you need help or you want to talk to us independently on some of these changes, this was just a quick high-level overview. You know, the big things: your DEI policies and practices, your end of support, the award affiliation and limiting your past performance limitations now, and some minor SIN eliminations. Oh, grants management SIN addition for tools, not services, but tools. And those are the 4 big key takeaways. More details on our websites for in-depth information. Read through that first. Let us know if you want to have a discussion. I'm more than happy to take a call with you all, but I hope you found this brief overview valuable. So everybody have a great day. Thank you. Stay tuned for more changes.
Thank you so much, Melody. We're FEDSched, and that's the Refresh. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for alerts and future updates.